Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we're taking a look at one of the top decks within the current metagame, or at least what it was one of the top decks in the metagame, and that is Orcust. Utilizing the new Dark Magician Sark stuff to go into DMG, or DMD, sorry, Dark Magician of Destruction. All of this basically pairs very well together in order to facilitate things like Zombie Vampire off of the Shining Sark stuff to get you into the Orcust stuff. You're just more consistently getting into your full Orcust end board, basically through multiple points of interaction. So that's the general idea, right? So, generally speaking, how does this deck work, and why is it one of the top decks in the metagame? First and foremost, I should say, I am basing this off of mostly just information that I have gathered through the Duelist Cup, that just happened, as well as the win rates that were released. This deck seemed to be performing very well. I didn't really have too much to go off of, but notably one of the big things that it does is that it can play through Droll very effectively. Not only can it play through Droll very effectively, but it can play under its own Droll very effectively. So you can like get max seed and then still Droll yourself, or if they activate Fua, Droll, right? So all in all, that was one of the big advantages that this deck has. And I still feel like this deck is still very, very powerful due to the fact that it didn't really lose anything. And you could be like, oh, but what about like the Fiendsmith stuff? You could also play the Fiendsmith stuff. In fact, you could actually add it to this as well. So I don't know. My thoughts are that this deck is pretty good. So let's hop into the card by card and the explanation. Starting off with the Orcust stuff, this is basically taken from a Duelist Cup build. It's slightly modified, but is mostly just that card for card of a Duelist Cup style deck list. So we're playing ourselves the Symbol Skeleton, we're playing 3 Harpour and 3 Mech Knight, as well as one apiece of Orcust Nightmare, World Wand, and World Crown. And that is it for our Orcust monsters. We're also playing, of course, Orchestrated Return, Orchestrated Babel, the Heart Soul of the deck, and then the one Counter Trap Crescendo, all of which are very easy to get to, and pretty solid. To be fair, you don't technically need Orchestrated Return. I just like having it, but it honestly was more of a brick than it was actually useful, so maybe you cut it, but it is still very useful, all in all. And that's it for those monsters. We're then, of course, playing the Dark Magician package, or the Shining Sark package. We're playing the 2 Shining Sarks, the 3 Dark Magician Girl. This is mostly what it's used for, because this card specifically allows you to grab Shining Sark, which is very nice. And then on top of that, you can then use it to go into Dark Magician of Destruction, which can get you access to Dragoon off of Gaze. So that's the general idea. But notably, this card also dumps a card from your hand, which can send something like Harpour, or Symbol Skeleton, or Nightmare, or something else of that nature. So there's a lot of discard fodder in this deck as well. We're also playing Gadget Trio to be able to search out the Shining Sark as well. And then as for the... and then we're also playing Future Silence in addition to all of that, because it searches out your Dark Magician Girl, or pretty much any of these guys. And then we do need to be playing Gandora for the rank 8 style version of this deck. Gandora is also just a nice inclusion. You can special summon it and potentially nuke the field. Kind of forces out interactions in that capacity. On top of that, just, again, that rank 8. So that's mostly what it's used for here. As for the rest of the cards, they're pretty simple. Just Hand Traps, Droll, Maxi, Ash Blossom. We're also playing... 2 Fuas. We're playing 2 Fuas. And then the 1 Foolish Burial, the 1 Called By, the 1 Crossout, and then 3 of Piece of Infip, and then the Impulse. As for the extra deck, it's pretty simple. Dragoon and Dark Magician of Destruction for our, as previously mentioned, Shining Sark package. We're also playing Chaos Angel. This card comes up occasionally. For the most part, I never really noticed it, but it does come up occasionally because this happens to be a 6, and these all happen to be 4s, so... very useful. On top of that, Dark Magician Girl is also a 6, so there's that. We have some rank 8s here in Galaxy Photon Lord, as well as Zombie Vamp, and then we have, of course, Team Girsu, and then a bunch of Link monsters, Nightmare Mermaid, Nightmare Phoenix, Galatea, as well as Galatea, and then we have IP Masquerena, Dark SP, Long Girsu, and Enlil Girsu. Let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck performed. Alright, and here we are going second, and it's a pretty good hand. It's not great, but okay. Out comes the Q. We're going to activate the Impulse there. And cool, Trackmaker. They had the Veiler, so we didn't get Rotaried, which would have sucked. We revealed 2 cards there. They actually, I believe, put the Gadget Trio onto the bottom, which, to be fair, literally would not have been able to activate. So there's that. Anyway, they go for the JJ Cool Tune here in order to grab Mix. Mix grabs the Rotary. Rotary is then going to special summon the Recco. Recco effect is going to grab the Clip, and I'm like, that's fine. They're going to go into Clip here off of... Look, I don't know what they're doing here. They're going to banish one of my cards. They banish the Chaos Angel, which is funny. They're going to grab the Quick Play and then pass the turn. Now, we do have the Impulse, which I believe that they know about. Yeah, we're going to start off here with the Shining Sark. They're going to activate the Remix. Obviously, we're going to Impulse that. Now they go for the Cool Tune Synchro. They're going to Synchro Summon here into RS, and then just not activate anything cool. Out comes Gandora. Gandora effect. This is going to force out the RS, and now we're off to the races. So, yeah, sure. We're going to grab the Future Silence. We're going to go and then pitch in order to grab up another Shining Sark. And then at this point, my opponent realizes the writing on the wall because they kind of goofed there. Now, to be fair, our hand was actually pretty solid just due to the fact that we drew 2 Impulse. Again, Impulse is very good against, like, every deck in the format. So, hey, any deck that can play Impulse is pretty solid in my book. Alrighty, and here we are once again going second. And this hand is very drastically different from previously. First and foremost, my opponent's going to go for a Lantern here. I'm like, okay, do you have the Jokal target? Vamos to find out. They grab the Jokal. And, yeah, okay, well, I guess I'll activate the Fua here. See if they commit into anything. They're going to go for the Yokel here. They're going to grab the Izuna. They're going to go into Ripper. Makes sense. Activate the effect of the Ripper. That's a fantastic draw. Okay, cool. They're going to go for the Izuna. Izuna is going to dump a Lupus. Lupus is going to special summon itself, and then they are going to pass the turn. Makes sense. They also set a card, which notably they didn't set off of Ripper, so we know what this is. It's the Quick Play spell. That's great. I draw Ash, which is something. They're going to DD Crow. This is just straight up a mistake. I don't know why they're DD Crowing here. I don't know what the purpose of this is. I think it was just Inus. I think they misclicked, like, genuinely. Anyway, that's fine. We're going to go for the DMG in order to send the World Wand. Now, notably, we had World Crown in our hand, which then gets to be special summoned off of the World Crown, or off the World Wand, so that's funny. They're going to go Droll. That's fine. We are then going to link off here in order to go into the Nightmare Phoenix. Nightmare Phoenix effect is going to activate. We're going to dump the Harp Horror. Now, notably, either one of 2 things is going to happen here. Either, by going Phoenix, we get to remove the Force Release, and then we just don't have to contend with it, which could be good. It could also do nothing, right? Or they lose Ripper, and we get access to our graveyard and our graveyard effects. So what they elected to do was, of course, go for the Quick Play, Force Release, in order to pop the Nightmare Phoenix, and go for the Werewolf here. They're also going to go for Durandal, which is a choice, I guess. They're going to go activate the effect of the Werewolf, banish our guy, sure. We're going to go for the Harp Horror. We're going to activate the Girasu. Girasu is going to dump Nightmare. We're going to grab a token. I don't know why we didn't. It's fine. We're going to go for the Galatea. They're going to then make it so that we pop their Continuous. Sure. It doesn't matter. Because we have World Wand. So we're going to go World Wand. We're going to bring back our guy. We know it's in hand. It's in Izuna. It doesn't do anything. Anyway, we go for the Dark here. And at this point, my opponent sees the writing on the wall because I still have full combo in my grave. All activatable, all ready to go, and they just concede there. Yeah, I can steal, I can walk over the field, like, there's a ton that I can do there, so, good game. All right, now, here's how we go first. First and foremost, we're going to start off here with the DMG in order to special summon itself, add to the hand the Shining Sark, activate the effect of the Shining Sark, we're going to add it to our hand the Future Silence, then activate its effect in order to grab up the Gandora G. We're going to then special summon into our DMG, sorry, DMod, that's what it's called. Anyway, they negate it in order to prevent us from going into Dragoon, which, fair. We're going to go Photon here, and then just normal summon our guy. And they had the Imperm, so, well, tragic. Anyway, it doesn't really matter too much here, because we get to go Galatea, or Galatea, grab the Crown, go into the Nightmare Phoenix. We do have to have 2 discards for this, so this line kind of sucks, but it's fine. Out comes Nightmare. We're going to go for Galatea. Then we're going to activate the Nightmare here, banishing in order to send it to the graveyard the Harp Horror. Harp Horror is going to then special summon out from the deck the Symbol Skeleton. Since we already used the effect of the Girsu, Symbol Skeleton here just makes the most sense. We could have potentially also summoned, like, I don't know, another Girsu, I guess. It doesn't really matter. We're going to go long Girsu here and then Reborn. Because we want to go end little Girsu and then activate its effects to grab back the Girsu that we banished previously. And then we can activate the symbol skeleton in order to reborn our guy in order to go into Ding Girsu. Ding Girsu effect is going to then attach. We're going to pass on this. Now, here's the thing. This may seem not very good. You're like, what is this? This is nothing. Ding Girsu is one of the most understood cards. It is extremely powerful because of simply the fact that nobody actually knows what this card does when it's on the field. They just see it as like, oh, right, it sends a card when it's special summon. Okay, that's pretty good. Here's the thing. It has text. It actually has text on field. If a card you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, detach material instead. No once per turn, no anything like that. That's it. Just, oh, hey, a card on your field is going to be destroyed? It's not. Okay? So, Girsu here is basically just insurance. You're not going to be easily able to destroy my field. So that's the general idea here. All right, cool. We're going to pass the turn to my opponent, and it is, of course, RS. Kind of sucks. They're going to go for the Recco here. They're going to go for the Rotary. Yeah. I'm going to steal here just in case. I don't want to have to, like... Here's the thing. What they could do is they could make RS and negate the effect of my Ding Girsu, which then I can't protect. So if they go RS, using the Recco, they can then pop Babel and actually destroy it, which means that I wouldn't even be able to use the Enlil Girsu. I wouldn't be able to use the Ding Girsu's materials, the symbol skeleton. There's a lot of things that I would just be cut off of. And I don't want that. So I just steal here and like, please don't. Now, to be fair, they drew the quick play. Tragic. Anyway, I will say, I believe my opponent also believed that this card negates and destroys. It doesn't. It just negates. So I don't think they need to activate the quick play there to grab Rotary, but it's fine. They're going to go for the Trackmaker and the Cool Tune Q and the Rotary. They're going to grab a bunch of things. Out comes JJ Cool Tune. Out comes the quick play as well. They're going to put my Ash Blossom onto the bottom of the deck as well. Out comes Mix. Mix is going to grab the Recco. Sure. They're going to normal summon the Recco for some reason and then go into RS. And here is the thing that I consistently talk about, or was just talking about, right? Which is that no one actually reads this card. So as the chain resolves, I just Ding Girsu, detach 2 materials, my field remains intact, and my opponent goes, oh, shit. Oh no, and just concedes there. Now, to be fair, they could have negated the field spell and then like walked into a guy, and then I can't really do anything. There's very little that I could have done there. But I am in a very good position on follow-up. I have the Harpour in hand. I have a bunch of other things, right? So generally speaking, that's not like a good position for my opponent. They just have RS. Now, to be fair, they could have an additional card in hand, but I believe they utilized the JJ Cool Tune. I think they had the Quick Synchro in their hand, which is like a fine card, but it's not that great given the fact that they don't have a way to fuse Synchro on the opponent's turn, given the fact that they don't have a guy that allows them to do that. So I understand the concession there. They didn't really have anything. Even if they were to negate, they still don't really have anything. The RS there is like just really bad. I think Mix may have been better, but beside the point. All right, we're back with the deck, and honestly, this deck is pretty good. I don't think it's by far like one of the best decks or anything of that nature, but I do think that it has a pretty good matchup into most of the field, right? One of the big things that it does, of course, is that it plays through Droll and Lockbird, which everyone is playing right now. But notably, it also plays Impulse, which is very, very strong. Impulse just hits so many different things, so it's just a very solid card to be able to play. That being said, though, I don't think it necessarily has a great matchup into Cool Tune, which is almost everywhere. So that is a downside. However, overall, I feel like it's kind of on that same level. It's maybe a little bit worse, but it has a similar vibe to Cool Tune, where it's like, okay, hand trap your opponent, and then do like a bunch of 1 to 2 card combos that do a ton. Or, go first and make one of the most incredible end boards that you can make, right? So, all in all, I feel like it's very similar in nature to that. A little bit weaker, but not a lot of bit weaker. And, it's overall pretty powerful. I don't know, maybe if some iteration of Cool Tune comes along that becomes significantly better, like a more optimized set of lists that end up making Cool Tune significantly stronger, maybe we'll see. But as of right now, I still feel like this is placed on a similar tier, and yeah, I don't know. It's very good. It's very good. Anyway, that's gonna be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, like it very much, so appreciate it. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye bye.